Hey, Doug.
Hello, Megan. I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, I'm so glad we finally got this squared away. How are you?
I'm doing great. And yourself? I mean, I haven't spoke with you for a little bit.
I know, well, we speak, but we haven't been live. And so it's so fun to be able to see you in person and catch up with everything.
Yeah, it's you we're battling a virus and an epidemic and all those sort of things. And some people are traveling, some people are staying at home. It's kind of a crazy time. I mean, I think those that feel very confident that they're not going to get sick, they're out there flying all over the country and they're loading down.
Well, just like you. Tell me about your weekend. You were signing autographs again.
Yeah, you know what? This was very unique, Megan, because, typically every time I would go sign autographs, being a former Chicago Bear in Chicago, defense was really the name of the game. I mean, that's what our team was known for. We weren't a high-scoring team. We weren't the Kansas City Chiefs, with quarterbacks running all around, throwing left-handed, right-handed. No, we ran the ball over and over and over again till you get down the field, like, gaining 2 yards at a time, 3 yards. It took forever. And, but this was really fun because this was an opportunity to really be with three other defensive players, two that I played with, Dan Hampton, a Hall of Fame defensive tackle, Gary Fensick, who was the other safety that I played free safety. He was a strong safety, played in the Super Bowl. And then, of course, I think probably the most honored Chicago Bear, Dick Butkus, was our middle linebacker, not our middle linebacker, but he played during the 60s and 70s. And, he was there also. So it brought in several generations of Chicago Bear defensive players. And honestly, I don't think I've ever been at another event in Chicago where the crowd never stopped. I mean, they just kept coming and coming and coming. It was one of those things too. A lot of times you go to an autograph event and you got to pay $5 to get in the place, the arena or whatever. And then you got to pay more money for pictures and all that. Well, this was, nobody was charged for coming in. There was no admission. And, and the autographs were free. So if you wanted to go take your camera, you could go take all the pictures you wanted and get all the autographs you wanted. And I think that was really had a big effect on a huge turnout, just a huge turnout. And, it's one thing, I don't know, maybe I hear people talking about stuff like this that have been in the Army or been through some really difficult, hard situation. But, when I saw Dan Hampton, who I played with, and Gary Fensick, and I had met Dick Butkus many, many times. Wow. It was like, you were like never apart. It's like you knew those guys. You knew what was in their heart and their mind. And so even distance and time it didn't matter. It was an opportunity to see each other again. And we all know right now, I mean, let's get into your 60s and things start happening. And, it's not uncommon. We've had there's probably about eight players right now that have passed away on the Chicago Bears that I knew that I'd played with back in the 70s and 80s. And so, tomorrow was not promised to us. So if you get an opportunity to associate and rub elbows with people and friends of yours in the past, do it, because this might be the last time.
Oh, that's such a blessing. So how many autographs did you sign? Because we always talk about this. Like you sit there and just sign and sign and sign.
There's one little part where maybe it's the kickoff. And, there's nobody in front of you at that time, but you're just signing. Each of you are like signing autographs just as fast as you can. And maybe that's like 50 or 100. So you get those out of the way. And then the people start coming in, and then they go, hey, to Bob, to Harry, to Mike, to Susie, to Linda, they want them all personalized. But a lot of them were just, our signatures were on there. And like I said, I'd never been at events where there was 4 defensive players, from the Chicago Bears spanning 4 decades. And it went over extremely well. It gives you an indication, again, getting back to that offense defense, there are certain places that just thrive on offense, scoring touchdowns, points. That's not Chicago. That's not the Chicago Bears. You know, you're winning by 1 and 2 points. I mean, that was my career, barely squeaking by. I mean, if you scored one touchdown in the game, man, you were really, really happy. And it was a battle too, because, you know, even though you're on the same team, you wear the same jerseys. Let me just say something. You know, when one side of the football, either offense or defense, isn't performing very well, oh my gosh, there's chaos on that team. You know, there's fights during the week. You know, their offense and defensive players are punching each other. And, you know, because, you know, we got paid decent money, you know, back in the 70s, like $30,000, $20,000. Now, you know, the general manager used to negotiate with you like, Doug, I think you should be very happy for getting $25,000. I know that we've got 20 games a year and you could possibly break or crack bones and ligaments, but that $20,000 is a tremendous amount of money. And, you know, and he said, and here's the other thing, you only work 6 months a year. Can you tell me another job in America where you get paid $20,000 for working just 6 months? And then he just looked at me and I go, no, I didn't really, you know, like newspaper boy or something. I never did that. I was a garbage man. I think even the garbage man made more money. But here's the really irony of the whole thing. In my 8-9 years in Chicago, every offseason, I made more money than I did playing for the NFL team, the Chicago Bears. And so it just gives you an indication how humble you had to be. And I always kind of laughed. Last game of the season, all the players were like, they were trying to figure out, you know, after the game was over, how far they would be out of Chicago, because they were all in their cars and they came to the stadium packed full, blankets, pillows, you know, water bottles, whatever, for the trip wherever they were going to go back home, because everybody needed an off-season job. You weren't going to live on your salary, you know, in the NFL. I mean, that's what makes all these things so laughable now. I think the average salary is probably about $5 to $6 million per player. Quarterbacks are all making over $30 million a year. And, you know, it just makes me laugh to think of, you know, the days when I was there and, you know, guys were talking about they had to hurry up and get home after the last game so they could sign up for wherever they worked before, you know, construction or in some restaurant or in a store. It was really hilarious.
I know, but look at you. You're still signing autographs all of these years later, which is such a blessing. Like, it's so cool.
You know what's funny, Megan, really? I'm very humbled by it, because literally the majority of the people that I signed these autographs for, they were never born when I was playing. They didn't even, they weren't even thought of, you know, in terms of, you know, coming onto this planet. And, you know, so it really is, it's incredible to think that people could remember that. I'm not that they couldn't remember that long, but they would be enthusiastic and excited about meeting somebody that was 30 or 40 years away from the football field.
I know. Well, you know, it's interesting though. I have people reach out to me all the time and say, oh my gosh, you know Doug Plank? And it's people, random people that I would never even think that would know you, but there's tons of people. And I say it as a compliment because you're such a solid person and you're so squared away. And so it's just really fun, because I got to ask you, the picture you sent me this weekend after you did those autographs, I'm going to put that up as the front picture if I can do that. Did you take that picture?
I'm sure. Which picture was it? It was.
I'll send it to you to make sure I can use it. But it was you and your 3 buddies, and it was the cutest picture.
Yeah. No, we could take that. Yeah. Whoever took
it was such a nice picture.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we can use that picture. You're right. No, as long as we don't have jerseys on and numbers and helmets.
Oh no.
No.
It was just you guys hanging out.
Yeah, that's. You know, it's funny too. Most people go, Doug, I can't believe how small you are. Well, you know, I was standing right next to Dan Hampton, who was like 6'6", you know, weighed like 260 pounds, and big, strong guy. I'm sorry. a defensive back is going to look like a midget standing next to him. It's like
I did notice that. I did notice that when I was looking at him. I thought to myself, that guy's a really big guy.
Dan was so strong when he was on the defensive line. I remember his first year, he was rushing the quarterback, and usually, you have a player opposite you on the offensive line, a guard or a tackle or a center.
Uh-huh.
And Dan reached out with his two hands like this, and we all have underarms right here. And he put his hands underneath the underarms of the defensive guard. I thought it was an offensive guard. And because he played inside the alignment near the center. And he picked up this guy like it was like on a TV show, like with a forklift. And he put these two hands on each one of the underarms of this player and just picked him up off the. Now, these guys are like 250 to 300 at that time. He just picked him up like this and went straight back to the quarterback, which was like another 5 feet. And then he just threw the guy on top of the quarterback. And of course, the ball fumbled and everything. And I'm going, I have never, ever seen, I've seen some strong men before. That's when I knew Dan Hampton, wow, he was powerful. He was strong. He was going to be a great player for us. And he was for a number of years. And, and he ended up getting inducted into the National Football League Hall of Fame deservedly. And he was just a beast. I would not have wanted to play opposite, Dan Hampton.
That's incredible. Well, I love hearing these stories because they're like behind the scenes stories that you always talk about. And nobody gets to hear these stories unless people like you talk about them, and they're so fun.
Yeah, it's and I'm sure Dick Butkus probably had a lot of stories too. But he's really a quiet man. Much more than you would ever expect. And he really took it out on the field.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that it's always fun to hear behind the scenes positive stories. And like I always tell you, you do so many amazing positive things out there. It's just spectacular. And I'm super excited for our next year because we're kicking everything up a notch, and you and I are going to stay on schedule.
I like that. Hey, look, you know what though? Things happen sometimes, even though the best schedule out there, the best attentions and stuff like that, if there's something that comes along that's unexpected, that's worthy of, attention, then there's really nothing wrong with taking care of that. Everything has priorities. I read all these books all the time about, taking care of the most important thing in your life first, and then categorizing things down below it. We all have friends sometimes that just talk and take up our time, but the same conversation that they have, you've heard it 100 times before. It's the same material. It's the same content. I'm going, you know what? With all due respect, the older we get, Megan, the more important is our time, because that's the one thing we can't replace. We can't replace that. So I don't feel like, we're being offensive by not listening to someone else.
Well, no, I agree. The thing is that you got to prioritize. And I agree with you 100%. You prioritize the things that are most important to you to get to the next things that you want to be able to accomplish. And I agree with you 100%. So,
and I just think too, sometimes I have people and that I speak with, and I just start asking them questions. I think asking a person a question and getting their mind generated on, starting getting the juices flowing in terms of what, thinking about what they're going to do or what's the next thing in their life or what they're planning on doing. I just tell them sometimes, if you're going to come over here and tell the same stories that you told last week to me, I probably don't have time. I said, but if you got some new material, things I haven't heard of yet, then come on over. Then we can talk about it. Or, sometimes it's like when you walk away from someone, you go, man, that I am so glad I talked to that person because I learned so much in 5 to 10 minutes, more so than I, ever would have any teacher or class I ever had in life. And, because it's one thing to learn the technique of whatever you're trying to achieve, but, it has to start inside us. We have to have the motivation and the determination to go ahead and accomplish it. And like I said, the only thing I really regret in my life, I've tried a lot of things. Some I haven't finished, and some I was almost there. I was right at the top. I almost had it in my hands. And for whatever reason, I lost my concentration and I just let it go. And, you know, it was one of those things that it had a time limit on it. You could only perform this task, whatever it was, within a certain amount of time. And otherwise it was gone. You know, things in your life, behaviors, associations, friendships, whatever it was, you know, those are the things that I really regret. Not the things that I got beat up on and, you know, I lost on games, things like that. No, at least I felt like, you know what? I had a fighting chance. I had a 50% chance of at least winning that argument or accomplishing that goal, and versus just not ever even trying it. You know, that was what was most frustrating. And, you know, the time clock ticks. And listen, right now, I told you before, Megan, I can't catch anybody now. If you came out and slapped me in the face and walked away, I couldn't even probably catch you because my knees are so bad that I just slide. I slide my feet now, so I don't even pick them up anymore. I know
you're so not telling the truth.
I know you know some more people.
That is not you at all. You're totally on it. Well, I'm just glad. I wanted to make sure and catch up with you about your weekend, but we're going to get together later this week again, maybe Friday if you have time. We're going to get together and talk about the next things that we have on the on our platform that are coming out for you for merchandise and all sorts of different stuff. So maybe Friday, if you have time, we'll get back together on Friday.
No, it would be great. It really would be. And, you know, it's funny, Megan, too, you know, certain places treat you differently, you know, like even yourself, whether you're home or whether you're doing something outside the house. It was amazing going back to Chicago because I feel like I'm back being a Chicago Bear again. I should probably take my helmet back there or something because people are going, oh, Mr. Plank, Mr. Plank. Nobody calls me Mr. Plank around here. I go, Mr. Plank, where's he at? I keep looking around. It's just flabbergasting to me. And that's why I like going back to Chicago all the time, because somebody thinks I'm really, really, really important back there.
No, it's an amazing part of your life. And that's why we're going to do some fun stuff. And I can't wait for all of your Chicago Bear fans to find out the stuff we're going to do, because we're going to do some really cool things it's really special because, well, you know, I'm super fortunate and I always have to say this, but I talk with Doug on the podcast, but I get to talk to Doug like every day. And I'm very thankful for that because Doug and I are great friends and it's very fun to catch up and we talk about everything. Because we could, if you guys were on our phone calls, you'd be spending like 5 hours a week with us. So we keep it to a minimum for all of you. But the point is that, yeah, I appreciate your friendship more than you understand. And I just appreciate the time for you to share your stories because people love to hear them and you're spectacular. So yeah, we'll get together again on Friday.
Okay. Sounds good to me. TGIF. I love Friday. You know, always have, always will.
All right. Well, you have a super, super week, and I'm sure I'll talk to you in between. And all of our people out there, thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. Always email me with any questions, m@megaz.com. Call me, 424-288-1364, with any questions that you guys have, because Doug and I are here. And we've been talking about this with guests, but now we have a list of 10 guests that want to be on our show. So we're going to start doing that.
Bring it on.
All right, bring it on. So we're going to start doing that. We've just been waiting to coordinate with everybody, but yeah, so it'll be really fun. So I look forward to it because Doug and I love to visit with people. We love to hear people's stories. And, you know, it's all about helping everybody get to where they want to be and using your experience to help people get also further in life. So appreciate you, Doug.
Yeah, you know what? There's one thing I just want to finish saying. You know, what I've heard in my life has changed my life, not my actions, because I hear something and then it motivates me. Then the action comes after. But you know what? If you don't have the communication, you don't have the enthusiasm and energy to get started, because that's where everything starts, with a conversation, and then the action just follows. So right. I just encourage people to get more involved in communication and basically communicate to somebody else what you're planning on doing. And it'll happen.
That's how it happened with you and I. That's exactly
Yes,
what happened.
you're right.
Look at us. Look at us. We're a great example of that. We communicated and we took action.
Yep, you're exactly right. That's life right there.
All right. Well, you have a super blessed week, and I will see you on Friday, and we'll see all of you on Friday also. And take care.
Okay, Megan. Good. Have a good week.
All right. I'll see you later, Doug.